399, hot, blue 58, blue 58.
Welcome to the Morning Blitz with John Abraham, Captain Cool, and the Bandiman Bailey Lowery. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Captain Cool.
Hello and welcome in, everybody. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman, Bailey, Lowery, and company here on the Morning Blitz on a wacky Wednesday in no man's land. We're about to get into a lot of fun conversations, and to start off the show, we're going to be talking with one Mr. Drew DeArmond from Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Drew, how are you doing today, man?
I'm pretty good. You know, I finished the show on a rant about the stupidity with Georgia and the rankings, and just asinine, just dumb. And then Gus Malzahn voting. But see, that I will say this. I ripped Gus a little bit, but it's really not even Gus. It's whoever the sports information director is for UCF. I mean, he doesn't even care about that stuff, but it's still dumb. It makes you look dumb.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and that's why you're at UCF and not Auburn. But, I mean, come on with this stuff. Just, you know, show some common sense like Nick Saban did. You know, 1 Michigan, 2 Washington because they played in the national championship game. Do I think it's really 2 Alabama? Yeah, but whatever. 2 Washington played in the national championship game. Then you go 3 Texas because they beat Alabama, and then 4 Alabama, and then 5 of Georgia. It's really not hard.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and then fans of other schools that, the truth really came out. Shut up. Nobody cares. The only thing they care about is if you're a Michigan fan, you have a T-shirt that says you're national champs. Nobody else cares.
No.
Okay? Nobody else cares about it because they're not number one. Now, you might take a moral victory lap if you're Ole Miss because you won a Big Six bowl because you don't do that very often. You won a school record 11 games. But again, it's one of those things. In Alabama last year, they took momentum but by winning the Sugar Bowl. But in most cases, nobody gives a rat's you know what.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get to next season, and what they care about is the transfer portal. I know we're going to talk about that. Guys coming, guys going, and, you know, what your roster is going to look, and your coaching staff.
Yeah.
Because right now the big storylines in this state is, Auburn doesn't have Auburn doesn't have an offensive or a defensive coordinator right now.
Didn't really start off with it in the first place. I mean,
right, and so in Alabama, I know we're going to talk about Coach Steele. I was a little surprised that he retired after a year. I thought he would at least give it, because he signed a 3-year contract. I thought he would probably do it 2 maybe. I wouldn't have been surprised, but he only did it 1. And from all my intel, I'm telling you, I just think it's going to be Travarius Robinson, maybe Travarius Robinson and DJ Durkin, but I think Travarius is going to call the defenses. I think he was calling them for the majority of last year. Mm-hmm. And it told me a lot when Kevin Steele came in as an overseer, didn't coach a position. I think they were grooming T-Rob to do this. And again, I know people say, well, for the majority of Coach Saban's tenure, and this will be year 18, unbelievably, starting in the spring, that his defensive coordinators coach the linebackers. He's also had cases where they coach the DBs. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, they could still bring in a safeties coach, but we'll see what they do. I would still lean toward him because, again, Coach Steele that opens up a spot. He had a spot on the coaching staff. DJ Durkin is coach special teams. He could be an outside linebacker special teams coach, but Coach Saban could bring in a special teams coach by itself. He's done that before. Or, it may be a deal where they bring in a safeties coach. I'm not sure. I don't think right now the offensive staff, Tommy Rees, Robert Gillespie, the running backs coach, Joe Cox, tight ends, Eric Wolford, is definitely the offensive line coach. Now, at one time, he brought in Dan Enos to coach quarterbacks, and they had Mike Loxley as OC play caller. But that's kind of delicate. Usually, in most cases, 90-something% of the time, the OC is the QB coach. And I think they have the open communication. I don't think that'll change. So I think they got to hire a wide receivers coach, and I think they'll do that. But I think the rest of the staff will be either a special teams coach by himself, or maybe potentially you could split maybe the D-line to D tackles and defensive ends potentially. I don't know, but I would still lean more toward maybe a special teams guy coming in to run that area. But we'll see. I mean, I think Nick Saban, he knows what he's doing. I've always said chess, not checkers. It's always, and again, they may not be done with their moves. Yeah. I would still like to see a change of law on the defensive line. I'd like to see a Bo Davis brought in. LSU pursued him hard for the third year in a row, but he turned them down. We know Blake Baker is leaving Missouri to go to LSU. And is Corey Raymond coming back? So really, the storylines to follow now that our season is in the rear view from a college perspective is just the transfer portal, and the first window is going to close soon because, again, the two national championship participants, the Michigans and the Washingtons, they get some extra days. But it's and the coaching carousel as well. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what Auburn and what Alabama do because they're both have had a lot of movement. I still think with Hugh Freeze, you're looking probably at Derek Nix as the OC, who was with him at Ole Miss. He's very comfortable not calling the plays. We know Hugh wants to go back to being heavy-handed with that. Mm-hmm. And then defensive coordinator-wise, guys, if it's not a guy like Zach Arnett, the former Mississippi State coach, in the next day or two, just watch this. I know you guys are going to talk a lot of NFL playoffs on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Because we know the Houston Texans won the AFC South. They are hosting a playoff game, and so I believe it Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
They're playing. Yeah. You're playing your Brownies. So Chris Kiffin is a longtime Freeze guy. He's one of their linebacker coaches with the Houston Texans. He may end up being that DC at Auburn. I wouldn't be surprised. He is the younger brother of Lane Kiffin, so I would watch Chris Kiffin very closely. Brian Matthews kind of alerted us to that on Talking Ball earlier this week.
Yeah, okay, Bandy, go on.
I know. I was about to say, we were kind of talking about the transfer portal. Kind of the big story that came out last night. Well, I mean, 2 days ago we heard that UNLV quarterback Jordan Maeva was going to be going to Georgia, but now as of last night, it is now flipped to where he's going to be going to USC now. As of last night,
yeah,
Lincoln Riley over there.
Well, Greg Biggins reported that at 24/7 Sports. I've had Greg on before, and as Greg said, this might change again, but he is being informed that he had flipped. The young man from UNLV had flipped from Georgia to USC. And we know that Lincoln Sharman / Riley has been very active in the portal. He thought he was going to get Will Howard. Will Howard ended up at Ohio State along with Quinshawn Moneybags and Seth McLaughlin. So we'll see. I mean, SC, I know Malachi Nelson ended up at Boise State. I mean, and Boise's a really good group of 5 program, but think about that. He was the number 1 player in the country, and it's kind of like a car depreciating. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Once you drive it off the lot, you're not going to get close to what you paid for it. Malachi was the number 1 player in the country, and he basically redshirted at USC, and now he ends up at Boise. I mean, He took one visit. Now, maybe they got a good NIL program. I don't know. But this is a cat that was driving a Ferrari to football practice in California and buying his mom some kind of, I don't know, $2,000 purse.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just I know it was something because they have interesting NIL deals in California. But maybe Malachi saved his NIL money from USC. But, again, it's interesting to see, it's almost like one of those things out of sight, out of mind. The kid can still be a great player, but, sometimes it's just kind of funny. With Quinn Ewers, he's very likely coming back to Texas. His backup is going to be Arch Manning, and yet when they were at a bowl game at a college football playoff, there was more media around Arch than there was the starting quarterback of the Longhorns to show you how this system is kind of flawed in the way they do things. And Arch, to his credit, Arch is a quiet kid. I definitely don't think NIL was his end game from the standpoint of I'm going to this school because of the exposure. But he still made supposedly $3.2 million in NIL just because of his last name, and he's not taking a snap. Now I don't think he's going to pull a Judkins. I mean, Judkins was asking for $2,500 to $5,000 an appearance, any kind of appearance for Ole Miss.
Yeah,
I mean. You would definitely get tired of that, especially if the guy's not practicing hard and he's out of shape and he's more worried about his wallet than scoring touchdowns for Ole Miss. Now it's going to be very, very interesting because Ryan Day is pulling out all the stops because he's getting whipped by the Michiganders right now. And so he's lost 3 in a row. He did make the playoff last year and really probably, this is just how ironic it is, if they beat Georgia, they're going to beat Wofford, a.k.a. TCU, and he's going to win the national championship like Alabama did without beating Auburn. Alabama lost to Auburn, its biggest rival, but it still won it all in 17. Ohio State would have done the same thing, but he's lost. He lost the national championship game in 20 in the COVID year to Alabama significantly. He's done a good job at Ohio State. He just hasn't been able to beat Michigan. So I'm going to be very fascinated to see how that roster comes together. And Ole Miss's, how are they going to replace Judkins? Because he was a big part of what they do. They've been very aggressive in the portal. And I know one of the other things we wanted to talk about is Jace McClellan. See, that was a heavy rumor until, now he's officially entered the draft from Alabama, which I think was a wise move. But there was a lot of talk, he's from Aledo, Texas, about him going into the portal for his COVID year and potentially either going home to play for the Longhorns or going to Ole Miss and replacing Judkins. I'm going to be interested to see. Ole Miss will probably still address this but it might not be till after spring when others go into the portal, or who knows. Roydell Williams from Alabama hasn't found a place to land. I know he visited Florida State. Maybe Ole Miss shows some interest. I think they've still got Ulysses Banks back, who they got from SMU. And I will say this, Lane has run the ball very, very well at Ole Miss, regardless. I mean, he went and recruited Judkins, but they've been very productive his entire tenure there. And so a lot of it with him is system. And I think just like he's plugged in Jackson Dart for Matt Corral, they believe they can plug someone in there and be very productive.
Yeah, for sure about that. And before we get you out of here, real quick, I know there's a lot of change that's going on in the college football world, but it's really nice whenever something just stays the same going into the next season to kind of keep that, I'd say, rhetoric going. There's another word for it I don't use. But, you look at Malachi Moore returning to Alabama. This is a big piece, and kind of just talk about the implications that this has moving forward real quick because we got to get you out of here.
Well, I know. With Malachi, it's a domino kind of thing. Going into the year, his freshman year in 20, the COVID year, he was a freshman All-American, but he got hurt. He hurt his back at the end of the year, and so it really kind of affected him for the next year and even into 22. This year, he got a little nicked up, but for the most part, he was healthy. Had a really good year. I thought he might just move on to the NFL and try to start his clock and make a living. But it's probably it's just like when I covered the Citrus Bowl in 19 when we all thought Najee Harris was gone after his junior year, but he got his grade back, and he's like, not thrilled with a third or fourth round grade. I think I'm better than that. Yeah. And so he and Coach Saban discussed it. He decided to come back. He had a great year. We all know what kind of season that Alabama had in 20. He became a first-round pick of the Steelers. And so I think probably Malachi the same deal. And once he came back, Earl Little, a kid that kind of been trying to get healthy but also biding his time, I think he saw Malachi in front of him, and he decided to transfer. His high school coach, Pat Surtain, is the defensive backfield coach at Florida State. We've already seen him and Malik Benson, Alabama wide receiver, go to FSU. FSU's already, I think, hosted Roydell Williams as well and T.J. Ferguson. So, once again, Mike Norvell being very aggressive in the transfer portal as well.
For sure about that. Good stuff from Drew DeArmond from Talking Ball, presented by Mercury Motors in Alumni Hall. We appreciate you every single other day. Drew will be back on Friday, and we'll be able to talk a little bit more Alabama athletics with him. But we got to hop into a break because it is one of those NFL days, and we're going to be talking with R.J. White later on in the show. But coming up next, a little bit about Alabama basketball last night and a little bit of NFL playoff type of storylines that we're going to throw at you guys. So don't go anywhere because that's what's coming up here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
You don't have to go somewhere else just so you can go somewhere new. Plan your next vacation with Huntsville International Airport and Breeze Airways. Enjoy friendly, convenient, nonstop travel to some of the most exciting destinations in the U.S., including the home of 12 world-famous theme parks, Orlando, Florida. With flights starting as low as just $49, Breeze has got you covered with easy, breezy, nonstop flights to Orlando. Make all their dreams come true. Book nonstop to Orlando now at flybreeze.com.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that His mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
It's official. 47 years in a row, Ford F-150 is the best-selling truck in America. Come drive one, and you'll see why. Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to kickstart the new year in a brand-new F-150. Choose from nearly 200 F-150s, and we think you'll find just the right one. Right now, we have financing as low as 2.9% for up to 72 months on 2023 F-150s, and lease payments as low as $389 a month. That's a 36-month lease with $62.82 due at signing, zero security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. This offer ends January 31st. Call 539-9441 for complete details. At Woody Anderson Ford, we have nearly 50 2023 Explorers for you to choose from, too, with financing as low as 0.9% for up to 60 months. Plus, check out our over 40 24 Bronco Sports and a fresh truckload of the full-size Broncos that have just hit the ground. Come on over and let's get the new year rolling. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan at Sparkman. Hope to see you soon.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. Score big deals at Baumhauer's this football season and order from our Inflation Bites menu. Try our Buffalo Wing Special with fries and a complimentary beverage for only $9.99. And what's football without a cold beer? Our pitchers of Yingling and Yingling Flight are only $7.99, served all day, 7 days a week. And huddle up, football fans. Sign up today for our free NFL Pick'em contest at Baumhauers.com for weekly prizes. Baumhauers, legendary fun and legendary food.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Not going to be near as windy, but definitely going to be just a touch on the chilly end of the spectrum. Highs only climbing into the mid and upper 40s. We're dropping into the mid 30s as we head into the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. Thursday actually looks like it's going to be a fantastic day across the Tennessee Valley. We're talking about a mostly sunny sky. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 50s. We don't fall much as we head into the overnight, early into your Friday morning. During that time frame, another round of rain is going to build into the Tennessee Valley. We could get a few thunderstorms through Friday afternoon, though temperatures are going to climb into the mid and upper 50s. It is going to be incredibly cold Friday night, early Saturday morning. It looks like temperatures are going to drop into the mid and upper 20s. A mostly sunny sky for your Saturday afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the upper 30s and lower 40s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio 97.
From the Nick Saban Show.
We talk about finishing. That's like the number one word.
To Alabama football.
Touchdown, Alabama!
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
On top of the great news about Malachi Moore staying at Alabama, we also had an amazing basketball game last night in Tuscaloosa. Alabama faced off against the 13-1 South Carolina Gamecocks. And if you guys can tell by the bling that I'm wearing, and you can probably hear it over on WZZN TV on YouTube, you can see that we got their number. Oh, yeah, we got their number. 74-47, a spectacular victory for the Crimson Tide, moving to 2-0 in league play. And we look over at the line, and you'd think I'm lying if I said that Grant Nelson scored no points at all. But it's the truth. And you know who really came out on top was,
Zero.
Of course, Mark Sears playing, the best ball that we've seen probably all year long. 31 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. This guy was going off. And some of the shots that he was making last night were like magic. I don't even know how he was able to do it. Having a guy on him going all the way to the paint, and he's able to throw up a layup that goes in just, I don't know, on a whim almost. It was a spectacular game to see, and just the way that the defense was able to hold South Carolina to 0 points for almost 7 minutes going into the second half really helped that 44-18 spread in that second half. What a wonderful game, though. Yeah. What a big win in conference play for the Crimson Tide, beating the #1 team currently in the SEC. But the thing that I was looking at the most was the schedule. The schedule that South Carolina had leading up to this game. We've talked about it plenty of times before with the Huntsville Panthers going up against one of the best teams in the whole country down in Florida. What was that? What was it, Montevallo or something like
that?
Montverde, okay.
Montverde.
Montevallo is like a college that UAH plays up against, I think. But Montverde, you play up against competition like that, you're going to, despite losing, you're going to have that experience to move forward and play way better than anybody else you're usually going up against, and that's exactly what Alabama was able to do. When you look over at South Carolina's...
they went through a training arc.
South Carolina's schedule, you don't see that much competition. The only big-time team you're really going to see is going to be that Clemson game that they did lose. 72-67. They played them very well. It was at Clemson, so it's a tough challenge right there. But other than that, I mean, you're Winthrop. You're playing up against East Carolina.
Hey, Virginia Tech was a good win as well.
Yeah, Virginia
Tech is a good win, but again, that was at home, and they only got by 2.
Yeah, and that was very early on in the season, which was, it was one of those games where it's like, hey, you dip your feet very quickly into some of that Power 5 competition, but then you're going back to VMI, you're going back to Grand Canyon. I mean, like
Washington?
That's the competition that this South Carolina team's been going up against, whereas
Elon?
Alabama, I know, South Carolina playing Elon Musk.
They're playing against Musk?
They're playing against the Musks, okay. Alabama's gone up against Ohio State, Oregon, Clemson. Yeah, they went up against Clemson too. They went up against Purdue, one of the #1 team in the country. Who, Bandy?
Hey, they just lost.
So
hey, on top of them, we had not one top 3 team lose, but 2.
2!
Because, lo and behold, Houston lost as well last night to Iowa State.
Gotta love it. Alabama, slowly but surely, moving their way up in the AP poll as they sit at 10-5 after that victory last night. But, Bandy, we're not talking about that right now. We're not talking about it right now. Because we got some NFL news to hop into. A lot of it's going to be circled around all this. Who's going to be Rookie of the Year? Bandy thought it was going to be Bryce Young.
I thought.
I'm sorry, Bandy. That's not coming true.
Look, it's on me for having faith that Carolina would improve their offensive line. That was on me.
I don't blame you, Bandy.
That was on me.
I don't blame you.
But C.J. Stroud, though, has been incredible.
C.J. Stroud has been amazing.
D'Amico Ryan's Coach of the Year should be a given.
Yeah. I mean, and I will say, I can see where you're coming from making that argument that D'Amico Ryan's turning this once terrible team into a playoff contender. I will say, that is definitely Coach of the Year worthy. But I always look at the Cleveland Browns.
Oh,
of
my
course,
gosh.
I don't.
Oh, my gosh.
No. Bandy, listen to me, okay? This isn't just because I'm biased towards the Cleveland Browns, but we got to look at what Kevin Stefanski's done. He's played with 5 different starting quarterbacks. Added to the list, the Jake Delomes, the Seneca Wallaces, all these guys, the Tyrod Taylors. I mean, we could go down the whole list, okay? The amount of failures we've had with all of those quarterbacks, and then for 5 quarterbacks this season, this team is able to make it to the playoffs, win 11 games, and now is going up against the Texans. Who's going to be Coach of the Year? We're going to figure that out.
We're going to figure it out. It's going to be the decider.
Very soon here on Saturday at 4:30 as those two teams go up against each other in the wild card spot. Very good to see. But the Rookie of the Year. Bandy, I'm not going to blame you for that whole Bryce Young thing. I thought Anthony Richardson would win a Heisman. That did not come true.
Yeah, my Alabama bias was all in on that Bryce Young.
Totally fine, okay?
I was ready.
We also threw in a little bit of Alabama bias whenever we picked the national championship winner, Washington, because we just kind of did not like Michigan at the moment, and we still don't like Michigan at the moment. But hey, we know you guys love them. Some of you guys. I think 2 of you guys love them, which I'm surprised they haven't called in. But it's okay, because we're going to be talking the NFL. Rookie of the Year, it's going to be between C.J. Stroud or Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
Of course, C.J. Stroud's probably going to get the nod. His season has been absolutely spectacular. He finished it off. 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. A measly 5 interceptions. 4,108 yards. I believe he's only the 4th rookie quarterback to ever do that. And a passer rating or a completion rating of 63.9. This guy's been absolutely spectacular, and I'm scared. I'm scared because this time the Browns have to go up against C.J. Stroud and this Texans team. Not Case Keenum and this Texans team. Nope. C.J. Stroud and this Texans team.
Hey, Captain Cool.
What?
We got some breaking news in the NFL world.
What do we got, Bandy?
From Ian Rappaport 5 minutes ago, the Bears are making some staff changes as offensive coordinator Luke Getsy and members of his staff have been fired.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Chicago now needs 2 new coordinators for 2024. So if you are an offensive or defensive coordinator here in the area, go ahead and send in your application now.
Definitely do that if you guys want to be in NFL. I mean, you're going to be playing for the Chicago Bears, okay? So, I mean, there's some promise there. They got Justin Fields.
He could be yours.
He could be yours for a measly, few years of disappointment. That's all you're going to get from that. But I look back at Puka Nacua, C.J. Stroud. It's all just a bunch of amazing stuff. There are more rookies that are doing some great things, okay? But Puka Nacua has broken 3 different records this season. Most receptions in a game. This is number 1. 15. That was back in week 2, beating Najee Harris's record back in 21. Most receptions in a season by a rookie at 105, beating out Jalen Waddle's record back in 21. Already breaking 2 Alabama alumni records in the NFL. Moving forward, this one probably the most impressive. Total yards for a rookie at 1,481. 1,481. Beating out 1960s Oilers' Bill Groman, a record that stood strong for over 60 years. Now, I think it's impressive that he had to beat out, the 2 former Alabama guys, but nonetheless, Nacua was drafted in the 5th round out of BYU, and he's able to do this type of stuff for this football team. That's some big stuff, and on top of that, this is the 2nd year the leading receiver for the Rams has been on my squad and has led me to the championship game and won it for me.
I thought I would have the leading receiver.
I thought you would too.
I thought I would. I thought after when he came back from IR, I'd be sitting fine. I'd be sitting pretty like, hey, Cooper Kupp's coming back. It's going to rebound my team. I'm going to be able to make a late game push for the playoffs.
Didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen.
Did not happen.
They took all Cooper Kupp's targets and gave them to Puka Nacua.
Yeah. But
probably for the better.
Yeah. Well, Puka Nacua.
For the team, not for mine.
Definitely sitting above the top of the Rookie of the Year conversation. He's broken 3 different records this season. It's crazy to see, and it's crazy to think that he will most likely be second to C.J. Stroud for that Rookie of the Year finale. I think it's a legacy to not forget, though. I know that people are going to be remembering C.J. Stroud's amazing first season in the NFL. After going into the NFL draft, being like one of the dumbest quarterbacks, I would say. I don't know. He took a test. I don't think it really did anything, though, because he still went off this season. So who cares about those tests? You know what I'm saying, Bandy? Give me a high five for that one. ACT sucks. But on top of that, another interesting tidbit before we hop into our conversation with RJ White from Sportsline.com. 4 former Alabama boys achieved another interesting stat line. Calvin Ridley, Devontae Smith, Cooper Kupp. Nope, not Cooper Kupp. Amari Cooper. Sorry, I get those ones mixed up. And Jalen Waddle all had 1,000+ year season. Absolutely spectacular for the Alabama alum. We got to hop to a break. When we come back, RJ White's going to be on the other end. We're going to be talking playoffs, Bandy. We're going to be talking Rookie of the Year. Rookies that might not be getting the same look. As well as, why not? Hop into some coaches that are going to be out going into next season. That's what's coming up here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Southern Fidelity Mortgage. Think of them as a loan for everyone, offering more products than anyone else and the guaranteed lowest rates and costs in town. Of the 2,000 loans that Southern Fidelity Mortgage has pre-approved over the last 10 years, all but 1 have closed. That's unprecedented in the banking business. For FHA, VA, rural development, and conventional mortgages, for the best mortgage experience in town, it's Southern Fidelity Mortgage.
Call Southern Fidelity Mortgage Company at 256-656-5936.
Orthopedics. You're thinking bones, muscles, and joints, right? Well, what else comes to mind? Maybe your spine, therapy, or an arm cast? What about sports medicine? What do you think about when you hear that? Are you thinking about the largest orthopedic group in the state, caring for the most student athletes in North Alabama? Or about the fact that they are teamed up with the state's largest hospital-based sports medicine program to provide care to more schools in North Alabama than any other group? If you are, you have TOC Sports and Huntsville Hospital Sports Center on the brain. If you're not, you should, because Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports have partnered for more than 2 decades to establish a state-of-the-art team of certified athletic trainers and orthopedic specialists who successfully continue to meet and exceed the sports medicine needs of schools, athletes, coaches, and parents in our community. Committing to kids, committing to community, committing to care. That's Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Philip Love of not only Eagle Insulation, now he represents Eagle Companies. Eagle through the years have added several companies to help individuals or builders through their construction renovation process. Eagle is known to represent quality, efficiency, and professionalism. Philip, I know you do insulation, but do you do masonry?
We do.
Do you do grading, erosion control, and dirt hauled off?
We do.
Do you do after paint, which includes shower doors, mirrors, shelving blinds, and bath hardware?
Yes, we do, Wes.
Do you do landscaping and irrigation?
Yes, we do.
So basically, Eagle can help you all along your process of building your house or doing renovations. So do you do plumbing?
We do not, Wes, but we can find somebody to do it.
Just give them time. They'll be there. Anyway, call Eagle Insulation at
256-755-1556.
Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Call Eagle today.
Thanks, Wes.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Partly sunny sky this afternoon. Not going to be near as windy, but definitely going to be just a touch on the chilly end of the spectrum. Highs only climbing into the mid and upper 40s. We're dropping into the mid 30s as we head into the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. Thursday actually looks like it's going to be a fantastic day across the Tennessee Valley. We're talking about a mostly sunny sky. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 50s. We don't fall much as we head into the overnight, early into your Friday morning. During that time frame, another round of rain is going to build into the Tennessee Valley. We could get a few thunderstorms through Friday afternoon, though temperatures are going to climb into the mid and upper 50s. It is going to be incredibly cold Friday night, early Saturday morning. It looks like temperatures are going to drop into the mid and upper 20s. A mostly sunny sky for your Saturday afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the upper 30s and lower 40s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio 97.
Single-handedly the greatest piece of music ever recorded. Golly. Welcome back, John Abraham, Captain Cool.
Nothing like that GBA audio crunch.
And that Bandiman Bailey Lowery across the window here on a wacky Wednesday in no man's land. Welcome back to the Morning Blitz. We've been having a lot of fun talking a little bit of Alabama athletics as we do. We've been talking a little bit of that Rookie of the Year race. And now it's time to hop into a little bit of the playoff talk, as well as some of the coaches being out. I know one of those big-time ones is going to be that Mike Vrabel conversation in Tennessee. And to help us kind of look at that and more is one Mr. R.J. White from Sportsline.com. R.J., how are you doing today, man?
Doing good. How are you?
We're doing wonderful on our end. Looking forward to the playoff matches this weekend. First things first, I brought it up. Mike Vrabel out as Tennessee head coach. I mean, we saw kind of a glimpse of this coming. Kind of just talk about what we might be seeing from Tennessee moving forward, what moves they might make, as well as how much is this going to change this offense and defensive attack that the Titans have been known for in the last, I would say, 5-6 years.
Yeah, it remains to be seen what the offensive defensive tackle will look like, but it's pretty clear to kind of start from scratch. With a lot of the pieces needed on that offense, especially, but also on the defensive side. I think you have a pretty strong defensive line to build around on the defensive front, but definitely need help in the back end there. And then offensively, is it going to be Will Levis moving forward? I don't know. I don't know if they have anybody they can bring in with where they're going to be drafting that's going to be better than that, but you do all the scouting, you find, make your grades. There's certainly going to be quarterbacks in this class that will grade higher than where they had Levis, who they didn't take until the second round. And if one of those guys fits what you want to do with the new coach that comes in, then you go for him. I mean, so it really just kind of depends on who fits whoever gets hired's offensive scheme and the quarterbacks that are available there, because not all guys are a perfect fit. And it feels like a guy like Patrick Mahomes, he's going to succeed wherever he lands, but he wasn't a highly rated quarterback when he came out. He fell the 10th for a reason, and he really fell in the perfect spot for him to have success. So you really just kind of have to find the guy that's the best fit for whoever you hire.
Yeah, some of the reaction I've seen online too, at least from like the fan side of things, and even some players too when they've appeared on podcasts when the news dropped. was just kind of confusion with Vrabel getting fired. I mean, was this kind of like the right move for Tennessee to do, firing Mike Vrabel, or was there another option they could have done?
Well, yeah, it's tough. Obviously, he didn't fit what the expectation was of the owner moving forward, but he figures to be a guy that's going to be the hottest coaching candidate out there. You can't do much better than maximize how he has done with that team. A surprise number 1 seed a few years back. Really just, solid playoff appearances several times. And I know it's been disappointing the last few years. Almost was able to pull it out last year and get to the playoffs with all the injuries they were dealing with, especially on the quarterback front. So I understand wanting to have a need to do that at the coaching staff. I just don't know who you're going to go out and find that's better than Vrabel. It feels like he's going to go to a spot and really be probably the guy with the most interviews and get the most money thrown at him and kind of pick wherever he wants to, what franchise he wants to be at, because figure him to be a commodity on the market.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what I've thought. RJ White on with us from Sportsline.com, and now kind of looking over at the Rookie of the Year race. We talked about Puka Nacua, we talked about C.J. Stroud, but, I mean, these guys have had great seasons. You can kind of talk about that a little bit, but on top of that, I mean, who's 3? Who's number 4? Who have been other rookies that we're not looking at as much outside of these 2 new household names?
Yeah, I think the guys that factors in outside of those 2 is Sam Laporta. Unfortunate injury at the end of the season, but really one of the best tight ends in the league all year. And tight end is a position that is very hard to hit the ground running. We've seen even highly drafted guys that don't make hardly an impact at all in their first year. It's very hard for a rookie to come in because they have to learn different positions, essentially. They have to learn blocking schemes. They have to learn receiving schemes. They have to fit into your offense correctly. And you have to have a brilliant offensive coordinator who's going to maximize them and put up the stats that they can hit the ground running and be a good statistical producer in their first year to mix into this award. So what he was able to do, I saw a stat online that had something like rookies all time with like 80 catches, 800 yards, and 7 or 8 touchdowns. I think it was 7. There's only been 5, and it's guys like Anquan Bolden and Michael Thomas and Odell Beckham, and Sam Laporta's on that list. So very interesting that because of the position, because the stats, the position he plays, the stats don't really jump off the page at you. But because of the position he plays, he really needs to be treated like, maybe not at the Puka Nacua level of all the stats he's putting up, but kind of given a little more respect because it's tougher to do that as a tight end when you got to come in and learn blocking and do all that.
Yeah, for sure about that. And kind of now looking over at that team, the Detroit Lions, they are in the playoffs. They're playing very hot as of late, and they're going up against another team that's been on a roll, and that is the Rams. Kind of just talk about this matchup. It's a 3 against the 6. It's going to be in Detroit. It's a big game for the city of Detroit, so give the people who are listening a little bit of hope that their Detroit Lions team's not just here for 1 year. They're here for not a little bit of a stretch, I would say, because their team's looking a little bit more solid than usual.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's the best narrative matchup you can hope to have with Matthew Stafford coming back to the building where he played for so long, could not get them to win the division. As good of a quarterback as he was, he goes on, has success, wins the Super Bowl with the Rams. I don't think the Lions fans, just kind of the vibe of them, felt any bitterness about that, probably happy that he was able to go get a Super Bowl. But now it's the Lions' turn. They feel like it's our turn to finally have, go deep in the playoffs. It's our first division win in decades. First time we've ever won the NFC North, because when last time they won the division, it was obviously a different alignment in the league. And so they feel it's their time. And to be able to do that, they have to beat the guys that ran their franchise for a decade or so in Stafford. So it'll be interesting there. The one weakness of the Lions has been their back-end pass defense, and that's something that Matthew Stafford can obviously exploit. Sean McVay coaching Jared Goff for the longest time probably knows his weaknesses better than almost anyone, so you worry that they'll be able to neutralize him a bit. But it's not all doom and gloom for the Lions. They are getting healthier on the defense. We're able to activate C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Aleem McNeil before last week's game. They got into the mix a little bit here last week, and then hopefully they'll be a little bit more full strength here, really provide some coverage on the back end and in the run defense to keep this game a little closer than people might expect. And Detroit's still the favorite. I think they're going to win the game. I think they deserve to be favored here. I think, just overall the strengths of the team, they're a little bit better version of the Rams, I think. And the Rams have been the hotter team down the stretch. I think they went 5-1 in their last 6. But I still think the Lions are pretty hot. They're getting things together defensively. They're getting healthy. The Sam Laporta injury sucks for them, but They still do have the guys that can take advantage of this Rams defense, especially in the run game. I think the run game and keeping Jared Goff from having to throw at 50 times is going to be the key to them winning.
Definitely going to be interesting. Jared Goff, a former Ram, going up against Matthew Stafford, a former Lion. Bandy, what do you got for him?
Well, man, I kind of wanted to preview this last NFC wildcard matchup with the Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, the Eagles have been, kind of bad to say the least.
1-5 in the last 6 games.
1-5 in their last 6 games heading into the wild card, and then Tampa Bay kind of been slowly on the rise. I mean, what do you see in this matchup? I mean, with Tampa Bay actually having pretty realistic opportunities to knock out Philadelphia here.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Eagles are favorites on the road. They are the worst team in the NFC playoff field when you go by point differential, and they're the second worst in the playoffs behind Pittsburgh. I know that they feel like this when they started 10-1, they feel like it's just kind of inevitable they were going to go back to the Super Bowl a little bit. But that's not the team that's going to be on the field. The team that's been out there the last few weeks is one that cannot stop the Giants, cannot stop the Arizona offense, two offenses that don't have a ton of weapons there. Now you go against Buccaneers that have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and a pretty good running back we've seen this year in Rashad White. And Baker Mayfield, a competent quarterback that's probably a lot higher on people's list right now than somebody like Tyrod Taylor, who had no problems moving the ball up and down the field on Philly last week. So I think it's going to be tough. I don't know what they saw in how their defense was performing that felt that they needed to make the switch to have Matt Patricia calling plays. Right now, the results of that do not look very good. I don't know why. That first Giants game when Tyrod came in, and then the Arizona game after that, it was literally like every drive was either a touchdown, the end of the half, or it got at least 30 yards. They just could not get any stops and keep their defense off the field. And so how are they able to fix that? Because it didn't get any better last week either. Are they able to fix that, over the course of a week when dealing with so many injuries on both sides of the ball? We saw 2 safeties go out last game. We saw A.J. Brown pick up an injury. Devontae Smith has been managing an ankle sprain. We'll see if he's back. And Jalen Hurts himself hurts his finger. It seems like he's going to be okay for this game, but is that going to affect him at all? I don't know. So a lot of injury concerns with the Eagles. Buccaneers definitely a live dog to come out and win this game.
Yeah, it definitely looks like something, an injury that would definitely affect somebody in some sort of way. But last matchup I want to look at for today going into this week, Dolphins and Chiefs. Now, for the Chiefs,
boy, it's going to be cold.
This is going to be a cold one, but for the Chiefs right now, I don't know. I know they're 11-6. They have been kind of back and forth the final stretch of the season. I don't know. I've been a little disappointed at the play that I've seen out of this team, but tell us why this game is going to be great, because the Dolphins and the Chiefs, both two very interesting teams going into this one.
Yeah, for the Chiefs, they got a week to kind of reset, didn't play their starters, so hopefully that helps them take a little break and figure out what was going wrong with their offense. And I don't know that they're going to need to do too much offensively because the Dolphins are one of the most beat-up teams in the league. We talked about the Eagles' injuries, but, I mean, my God, the Dolphins lost another pass rusher, two more linebackers out, Jerome Baker on the IR, Andrew Van Ginkel on the IR, Cameron Good, I think, also on the IR, one of the reserve linebackers. So they're doing things like pulling guys off of free agency. I believe Justin Houston might have signed with them. Melvin Ingram's now on the active roster when he's been – Emmanuel Ogbah is probably their best pass rusher, and he's been a healthy scratch 4 or 5 weeks ago. So the pass rush is going to be tough to get after Patrick Mahomes. And if you can't get any pressure on Patrick Mahomes, he's going to pick you apart. So it really just comes down to, will the receivers be able to catch the ball? Will the Dolphins defense be able to stop Isaiah Pacheco if they just want to lean on the run game? I'm not sure. But on the other side, you got Miami dealing with injuries to Jalen Waddle, missed last week. Tyreek Hill pulled himself out of the game. It seems like he has these injuries that keep recurring that stop him from being able to play a full complement of snaps. And that's going to be exacerbated in this cold weather. You get dinged up a little bit in the cold, and you don't want to be out there for another 10 minutes. You want to catch your breath and manage your injury. And so I think it's going to be tough for them to come in and be competitive in this game. So even though the Chiefs kind of struggled down the stretch, it feels like because of all the injuries to Miami, people are expecting the Chiefs going to win this game pretty handily. That's why the game opened at 3.5. It's up to 4 in most places, and I think even some places at 4.5. People are expecting the Chiefs to probably win this game by at least 7 points here.
Good stuff from you, RJ, as always. Let the people know where they can find your work online and on socials.
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at RJWhite1. You can find my work at sportsline.com. All my picks will be there. We'll be putting up some picks today on the games. I already have a few out there. that I really like, and so you can check all that out, plus all my written content will be there as well.
Good stuff, RJ. I'll have to talk to you on the side about this Browns and Texans game. Really want to look at that. Good stuff.
Thanks.
All right. Well, I look at that Browns and Texans game, and I think deep down, I think the Browns do have a shot, but this Texans team is going to be looking a lot more competitive with C.J. Stroud back at the helm. We got to hop into a break. When we come back, we're going to close out this wacky Wednesday. Bandy might play a clip from last night's matchup between the Lakers and the Raptors, and we're going to get on to a Thirsty Thursday.
Being called one of the most rigged games of all time from the Toronto fan base.
What is up with these refs? It doesn't matter if it's NFL, college football. I mean, jeez.
This isn't a first for them either. This has happened to the Raptors before.
Golly. That's what's coming up here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs. You just bought a home in the suburbs, but no one told you about all the birds, specifically this one, who seems to be calling out Roy. Roy. But who exactly is Roy? And why doesn't he ever respond? Maybe Roy is just bird speak for save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto. I guess until Roy answers, we'll never know. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, coverage provided in service by affiliates and third-party insurers.
The all-new Huntsville Boat Show returns to the Von Braun Center January 11th through the 14th, and I'll be broadcasting the Tom Abraham Show live from there at lunchtime on the 11th and 12th. The Huntsville Boat Show is an exciting time for all boat enthusiasts, as it allows buyers to save thousands of dollars on the purchase of a new boat or just shop many brands for your future purchase. Plus, many other retailers will be on hand as well for all things water. So plan to be at the Huntsville Boat Show at the VBC January 11th through 14th. See you there.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan@danaldridgelaw.com. Dan@danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Partly sunny sky this afternoon. Not going to be near as windy, but definitely going to be just a touch on the chilly end of the spectrum. Highs only climbing into the mid and upper 40s. We're dropping into the mid 30s as we head into the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. Thursday actually looks like it's going to be a fantastic day across the Tennessee Valley. We're talking about a mostly sunny sky. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 50s. We don't fall much as we head into the overnight, early into your Friday morning. During that time frame, another round of rain is going to build into the Tennessee Valley. We could get a few thunderstorms through Friday afternoon, though temperatures are going to climb into the mid and upper 50s. It is going to be incredibly cold Friday night, early Saturday morning. It looks like temperatures are going to drop into the mid and upper 20s. A mostly sunny sky for your Saturday afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the upper 30s and lower 40s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio 97.
Sorry, Jordan, we had to cut you off. Big time news coming your way. Not really. But the biggest thing of all is making sure you guys keep your roofs safe and secure, and the people to do that is Fleming Roofing and Restoration, the guys you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online at FlemingHSV.com to fill out your free quote today. And remember, Fleming always shows up. Bandy, I don't know what's worse for your roof, a lot of rain or a lot of wind. And we've had a lot of both as of late. So
sometimes at the same time.
Definitely make sure you are checking that roof and get Fleming Roofing and Restoration on it, just in case.
Sometimes it'll trigger the fire alarm.
Yeah, you learned that out the hard way, Bandy. Sending me pictures at 12 o'clock at night a few nights ago, and it did look like a tsunami was coming through. And there was a lot of fire and police officers just all lined up in the city of Huntsville. I was just in awe.
Fire alarm was going off in my building for a solid hour.
Sounded like a wonderful night for you, Bandy.
Yep.
Yeah. We got to make sure we get Natty Danny's prize ready for him whenever he wants to either come here or we head out to his place because, yes, he did win the Wacky Underdog Picks. On top of that, his team did also win the national championship. This light right here, if you're watching on WZZN TV on YouTube, keeps turning on and off, and I don't know what type of ghost is behind me, but he wants me to move on from the conversation talking about Michigan. I don't want to talk about it. Bandy, you know what I do want to talk about?
What's that?
I want to talk a little bit about, what you were talking about earlier before the show. And that's one coach being a little pissed off at the refs last night because not a lot of fouls were going their way, but every single foul was going the Lakers' way.
Yeah, a little bit of a discrepancy last night in the fouls because the Los Angeles Lakers beat the Toronto Raptors last night 132 to 131.
Wow. They needed a lot of help to do that, by the way.
Yeah, 23 free throw attempts in the fourth quarter will be able to do that to you compared to the Raptors' 2.
Golly.
So here's what Coach Darko Rajakovic, his first year with the team, had to say after yesterday's loss.
I think you shot with 23 free throws in that fourth quarter. What could you?
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. That's outrageous. What happened tonight? This is completely BS. This is shame. Shame for the referees, shame for the league to allow this. Yes. 23 free throws for them, and we get 2 free throws in the fourth quarter. Like how to play the game. I understand respect for all stars and all that, but we have star players on our team as well. How's possible that Scotty Barnes, who is all-star caliber player in this league, he goes every single time to the rim with force and trying to get to the rim without flopping and not trying to get foul calls.
Yeah.
He gets 2 free throws for the whole game.
2!
How is that possible? How are you going to explain that to me?
You can't.
They had to win tonight? If that's the case, just let us know so we don't show up for the game. Just give them a win. But that was not fair tonight. And this is not happening first time for us.
Not happening first time.
Scotty Barnes is going to be all-star. He's going to be the face of this league. And what's happening over here during whole season, I've been holding it back. It's a complete crap.
It's a complete crap. Bandy, it's a complete crap.
It's a complete crap.
We'd say the same thing for any of these refs over in the NFL, for any of these refs over in college basketball and college football, the ACC refs leading the charge at the national championship game. They didn't make a difference. But they did miss a lot of calls. And we took notice of that stuff. And hey, we're congratulating the ACC for getting somewhat near the national championship. But at the same time, something needs to be said about these refs because it's getting closer and closer to being busted out. It's gonna be. We're gonna figure out that it's all scripted and we got the refs and all this stuff. I don't think it's scripted, guys. But I do think that some of these refs might be thinking some type of way. They want to lean some of these teams towards success, and I see teams falling because of it.
Because what's gonna happen? Just be consistent.
Consistency.
Because even though there were intentional fouls by the Raptors toward the end, which allowed them to get 8 out of them, still a huge discrepancy. 15-2.
Huge.
13-2 at max.
36 free throws.
And just be consistent with the calls. Because the Lakers were getting calls that the Raptors weren't, despite the same situation happening.
36-13. I didn't even watch this game, but I could feel the anger from the coach.
Yeah, and the majority of those being in the fourth quarter, which then led to a 1-point victory. I mean, come on, guys.
Come on.
What are we doing?
Come on. Either way, we're done for today. In 22 hours, we'll be back talking a lot of fun stuff on a Thirsty Thursday here on The Morning Blitz.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of